Before we get into our review, I just want to give you a spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen it, make sure that you go see it, and also make sure that you interact with all those buttons on your screen. Tell me, what did you love about the series? Let me know who is your favorite X-Men in the comments. X-Men 97 is possibly the best show of 2024. This is how you make a continuation of a classic show. They did not miss a beat, it felt natural, and they punched up a lot of things. They made a lot of things better. Even the theme song, which is iconic, is somehow just as good as it was back up in the day. Really, when we look at this series, it follows right after Professor X is presumed to be dead, and the team is now struggling. They're looking for a leader, and who comes to lead them? One of their biggest arch enemies ever, Magneto. And of course, they're like, well, we don't trust you, Magneto. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna prove myself. Plus, I could pack up the whole team if I wanted to, so just, stick with me. Let me just tell you, Magneto is the man in this whole series. Steals every single scene that he is in. He is literally the GOAT of the show. One of my favorite characters. Anyway, they corrected all the problems that were with the original show. I'm talking about no more of Storm comically getting shot out of the sky. No more depowering Storm. No more lame Cyclops. This is not the Wolverine show anymore. No, everybody here got their chance to shine except for Wolverine. And even he had his little moments, but it wasn't overpowering, which was a welcome change. Now, as for the show's creator, Bo DeMaio, I don't know what happened. I don't know why him and Disney parted ways, but honestly, they need to bring this man back. Bo is the GOAT. They haven't had a writer this good since James Gunn. This show single-handedly revived Marvel for me. When we look at this show, that it is a masterclass in how to write characters. And this is not a kiddie drama. It has all the adult themes and dramas that you would want from a show. Because let's face it, a lot of us grew up watching this show, and now that we're adults and we have our own kids, we don't want it dumbed down. And they did not dumb down the drama in this show. They did not dumb down the scenes. They really went for it. Magneto ripped out the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton. Who ever thought that we would get that on screen? But that was crazy. It was brutal. That was a huge L for Wolverine. Let's get an F in the comment section for Wolverine. I'm gonna give him a super F. Why did you think having metal bones would make you a good adversary for the master of magnetism? What do you think his powers are for? To magnetize his kid's artwork to the refrigerator? That was one of the dumbest matchups in Marvel history, in superhero history, in fighting history. But like I said, they improved on the characters. They put some respect on my man Cyclops' name. This man's beams are concussive. They are not heat related. They also made it so that he could use that. He did one of the best superhero landings ever. Plus, when it comes to his fighting, he's able to use those beams for mobility. I never even thought of him using the beams that way. And they didn't make him a wimp or this super lame Boy Scout that he was up in the 90s. And I was so happy for that. I actually like Cyclops way better in this show than in any other media that I've seen him in, other than the comic books, because in the comic books, he is like he is up in this show. He is a real character. In this show, they introduced Sunspot, and honestly, he was played by this rich kid, and he was kind of Jubilee's love interest, and he was okay. He wasn't great, and Jubilee herself wasn't great, even though she got like half an episode to being trapped in a video game. They basically showed you how good Jubilee could be, but is not, and she didn't improve from that point. If I have to say there's something that I didn't like about the show, Jubilee and Sunspot really didn't shine. No pun intended. Someone who did shine was my boy Remy LeBeau. Let's have a moment to reminisce on my boy Remy LeBeau. Episode 5, when that went down, tears were felt. We had to pour out a drink for my man Gambit, because that was just like the perfect, if you ask me, it's one of the best, if not the best episodes of X-Men, any X-Men media ever produced. The way the attack on Genosha started, all the drama between Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit, how it built up, chef's kiss. It was just perfect. I really like that. And then we got our boy Nightcrawler. He came back up on the scene. He's now with the X-Men, and he was doing his thing. They even gave us like a first-person view of what it's like when he goes and teleports. That was amazing. Then we had Rogue. Rogue was another standout MVP. If not for Magneto, she would have been the standout character of the whole show. But I feel like Rogue was the second best, if not in some cases on equal terms. When she lost Remy, the way that she cried, that voice acting was crazy.
I can't feel you.
Then, on top of it, she went really rogue. Like, she was busting up bases. You know, she went into the army base, and Captain America tried to calm her down, and she literally threw his shield. She was like, "You are worthless." Threw his shield. Said, "Go fetch that, boy." Then, when it came to her character, she stayed in character. It wasn't this one-off, like, "Oh, I'm mad, and now I'm just gonna come back. I came to my senses." She was keeping that same energy. Everything happened in this story so cohesively. Magneto was really trying to turn over a new leaf, and he literally stood on business. He was gonna kill the Council of Humans that was putting him on trial. But he was like, "Hey, don't make me regret this. I already know what you're gonna do, but don't make me regret this, because I can put everyone in a pack." And he does. He's able to use his magnetism to literally mess up the world. I won't elaborate on it. Make sure that you watch the show. But I mean, I didn't really want the whole Magneto and Rogue romance thing. I mean, it made sense, but I mean, you know, dude is old though, but he's in shape, so I guess it's okay. It's giving me Judas Contract vibes, but not as terrible as Judas Contract, because Rogue is now an adult. All that aside, when we look at this series and look at the team players, I mean, Morph is basically a cameo machine. He was super annoying. Then this man comes out to Wolverine. Morph is really in love with Wolverine, and he turns into Jean. I was like, "Hey, yo, bro, no Diddy. What are you doing, boy? Like, I know that you could turn into a man or woman, but you a man, so stop doing that." What a plot twist. Who would think that Morph's final transformation in the series, his final cameo, would be that of Diddy? And then we look at Jean. Jean was standard. I mean, she was pretty good, but one thing I did like about Jean and Storm had a real relationship. In the 90s, it was just like, hey, me and Storm work together. Like, Jean and Storm just work together. They're just work friends. They're not close. But here, they were really like sisters. They really had a rapport. And I thought that was a really nice touch. Then, on top of it, the whole drama with Madeline Pryor and Cyclops and being kidnapped by Mr. Sinister, all that played out beautifully. The only thing that wasn't the greatest, you know, how she got the Phoenix Force out of nowhere just to save their lives. I know that she's always been connected with the Phoenix and all that, but it was just kind of like, I don't know if they wrote themselves into a corner and was just like, you know what? The Phoenix will get us out of this. But my man Bishop did not really get any love this time. I'm hoping that he gets some love in season 2. But I'll tell you somebody who did get a lot of love. I'm talking about my girl Storm. Storm, she had a whole glow up when she got her powers back. She changed from the white outfit to the black outfit and then posed after losing her powers and regaining them. I didn't care for that whole Storm versus the adversary thing. You know, you could have just said it was a mental thing. This show really shows why it's great to have a week-to-week schedule, because when we lost Gambit, when Storm lost her powers, people who didn't read the comic books, and many of us, even those of us that did read the comics and we know what happens, we still felt that impact week to week, especially when we lost Gambit, man. I can't get over that. That was just, Gambit is my favorite X-Men. Why you gotta kill him? I mean, I know he does die, but come on, man. Like, kill Morph. Like, he was really annoying. Well, actually, Morph already almost died in the first series. Kill Beast. But if you want both of these characters to live, make sure that you're interacting with all these buttons on your screen. Please make sure to follow me on TikTok at The Anime Turtle, and on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to me at The Anime Dad. Anyway, the person who got the least amount of shine, and because he basically had 5 seasons of being the main character, was Wolverine. But he did have his moments where he was able to do his combo attacks with Gambit, with Nightcrawler. Well, Wolverine had his moments where he was able to talk and say some meaningful things. He even had his moment with Jean, which was kinda pause-worthy, but I mean, hey, that's what the story called for. She had to search his mind to figure out who she was, and then she even kissed him. I was like, what is going on here? But that's the drama of the show. They always had like a little love triangle going on. But he did do his thing. He had like 5 seasons worth of being the main character, and he kind of was relegated to the background. Wolverine was able to do his classic thing of making threats and then unsheathing his claws. The only thing that I wanted from Wolverine that I didn't get was he made no racist comments towards Gambit.
Look out! Gambit, what do you think you're doing?
You better be more careful with his mouth.
You better stop worrying about my mouth and start worrying about these.
boys calm down.
You afraid I'm gonna hurt him? I always thought you had a soft spot for that Cajun.
Next, let's talk about Beast. Now, Beast was pretty much the same as he was up in the 90s show. Like, he really didn't do much. He was always doing science stuff, and he could take up to several episodes to figure out what was going on. But I just have always had a problem with calling him Beast. Like, he is not a beast in battle at all. He's always like hijacking like a sentinel or using some type of like science gun or something. Like, Beast always just wants to sound like the smartest person in the room, even though he really don't be solving too much as far as the show is concerned. Beast is, they should really just call him Blue Big Back. Like, anytime he come up on screen, somebody should be yelling, "Big back, big back, big back, big back. Yeah, my back is loaded up with snacks and different foods. Squeeze into this tiny shirt, my big back has no room." Because he really don't be doing nothing. Like, Wolverine should be called Beast, because he don't be fighting nobody with no hands. He doesn't do anything spectacular on the battlefield. He is not a beast. He's not even really even a beast at science. And he was pretty much, just there on the show. He didn't really do much. And he's never really come clutch and saved the team in the show, as far as I can remember. And I didn't forget about our guy Chuck. Charles Xavier did come back. He wasn't dead. Surprise, surprise. Charles Xavier just sunned the whole Shi'ar Empire. He literally brought them into a classroom. My man was like, class is in session. But he ended up coming back for his family, which is the X-Men, instead of being in a toxic relationship with a galactic queen who wanted him to let her give him a lobotomy. Like, she agreed with it. Her sister was like, yeah, if he's gonna stay here, give him a lobotomy. And she was like, are you willing to do this, Charles? I would have been like, nah, I'm up out of here. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, really? What type of simp move would that be? I'm gonna let you give me a lobotomy so that we could be together? That is stupid. I respected the professor for that, because I hope that he wasn't even thinking about that. Like, don't even think about giving me a lobotomy to be with anybody. That is just crazy, man. My name ain't Bartholomew Kuma. I ain't gonna become no cyborg, no memory. So y'all already know Lilandra was super toxic. In fact, when you look back on the whole show, like, basically all the women were super toxic. I mean, Jubilee was toxic because she was in the show and was trash. That was toxic to me. When you look back on Storm, when my man Forge laid his cards out on the table, she straight up slapped him. Then you got Jean, who was replaced by an identical clone of herself and got mad at Scott for not knowing that she was replaced by a clone. This clone was you in every single way, even had the same powers. How was my man supposed to know? But I'm gonna talk to my guy Scott. Yo, you fumbled it back, my boy. Madeline Pryor, even though they were identical twins, was clearly the better of the two. For reasons. And as far as the original Jean Grey, I mean, Scott, you could have let Logan finally get with her, because she was liking him a lot when she didn't have her memories and she searched his memories. I mean, you could have just kept Madeline Pryor. You already had the kids together, and let my boy Logan have the original, and everyone would have been happy. I'm just saying. And then you got this girl Lilandra. She was willing to lobotomize Professor X. She literally asked him as if he had a choice. Do you want to do this? Like, he was gonna say yes. I can't believe y'all. Yo, the women in X-Men were definitely toxic. And so was this guy Morph too. But we already talked about that. And then let's not forget the worst one of them all, Rogue. My boy Remy Gambit died loving you. Like, he was on it since season 1. And what did you do? You played him. Then you got with like the oldest man possible. Like a functional Joe Biden, which is like Joe Biden 50 years ago. You got with Magneto. And although he was the goat of the show, I mean, still, dude was definitely old enough to be her dad, and she still got with him. Over Gambit? Come on. That don't make no type of sense. I don't know what's up with you X-Men, but y'all gotta stop letting these women get y'all like this. Y'all down bad. Let's also talk about the villain of the series, Bastion. I felt that his story was handled extremely well. I like Bastion in this series much more than I liked him in any other media, and I felt like he was a fitting threat for the show. And I like that they, of course they have to do their whole big team up against him. Thought that he was handled very well. Also, looking like for next season, we're going to see the Age of Apocalypse or the Life of Apocalypse. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not the hugest fan of Apocalypse. I mean, this guy always talking about my children. I mean, this guy got blue lips. Like, what did you eat? Like a blue popsicle? You got on that blue lipstick, that Coral number 7 that SpongeBob had on in that episode? I mean, blue lips. Who was making kids with you? Like, I know you was the first mutant, or so you say, but like, Apocalypse is like, you are not that guy. literally has so many different powers, but still gets bodied every single time and got trapped in a dimension where there was no time. But Apocalypse, I'm not a huge fan of you. You need to sit those blue lips down. I mean, like, I don't understand. Like, Apocalypse, I'm like, what kind of lips are those? I would definitely be after you too if I saw somebody that ugly running around in Egypt. Like, they had the right idea. Get him up out of here.
I don't know you! Who's next?
The one complaint that I did come across universally when I asked other people what they thought of the show is they felt like some of it was rushed. And I did feel like, you know, there should have been more episodes. I would have liked more episodes, especially when it came to Storm being depowered. Like, definitely, I would have wanted to see her have more of her life-death storyline animated, but in retrospect, it was a pretty short series that came out here and there. But I feel like her best stories came from that time when she was depowered. So I would have liked a little bit more of that. I'm not gonna lie, but to say, oh, everything felt rushed, I don't feel like it felt rushed. They had 10 episodes and they gave us a lot in those 10 episodes. So, and I appreciate that. As for my rating for this show, you already know I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. It's definitely worth a watch. You can watch it on Disney Plus. You could also like, comment, subscribe, and interact with all those buttons on your screen so that I could give you more reviews on shows like these. And shout out to Spider-Man too, because he was also up in this show. He was cameoed at least twice. I'm hoping that we get this Spider-Man 98. So I'm looking forward to this. What else can I say? I love the show. The artwork was gorgeous. The story was fantastic. I recommend anyone who is remotely even an X-Men fan watch this series. If you want, you can also let me know who's your favorite X-Men character, hero or villain, or in between of all time. And also let me know what you guys think of this review in the comment section. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.